Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for being here and tuning in. If you're new, welcome to my channel. I hope you'll find these tutorials helpful for you. Today we're going to focus on painting some tulips, and I'm really excited about this because I grew up around tulips and they're very beautiful and they come out every year around this time, so it's perfect time to do this tutorial. And we're going to also experiment using and adding some gold leaf. So I'll show you how to use this. This will be a fun project. I hope you're ready. And I hope you'll learn a lot from these lessons and this tutorial. So let's get straight to it and go over the materials needed for today. We'll need a canvas of some sort, and I'm using a 16 by 20 inch canvas. And also I have some good news. I partnered with Feliks and we made my own canvases. I chose which one I like to paint on. This is a gallery style canvas, which means it's thicker and better quality. So they will be out on my website and Amazon soon. So I'm super stoked about this. Stay tuned for that. There's going to be an 18 by 24 on there as well, but you can use any canvas you have available. For brushes, we need a couple of these blending brushes. This is exactly the same, just different color. So we need a couple of these. One I like to use to dab my brush in the water and pick up paint and put the colors in there. And the second one I like to work dry to blend all the colors in. And this is kind of like a quick process, and I'll show you how I do it. And I'm introducing a couple new blending brushes. So I had a lot of people ask me, because some people do smaller size paintings, and some people ask me, hey, what about some areas where I just want to blend in a little portion of the area, right? Sometimes it's hard with a bigger brush to blend in a little area. So I'm going to be using a couple of the sizes down. So this is the next size down, and then this is the smallest size for the little details. And I'll be having these out soon as well, so stay tuned for that. But also, if you don't have your blending brushes, right, you can also use, like I used in the past before, my Artist Loft brushes, where this is a number 4 and there's one number 8, and you can kind of blend that in. But it's easier with these. We need any 1/2 inch flat brush. We need a number 4 brush right here, and then any detail brush. For paint, we're going to be using my 24 set of acrylics, and I'll show you exactly which colors we need from this set. And also from my Fine Artist acrylic set, I'm using my titanium white because it's bigger, and I noticed that titanium white goes a lot faster than any other kind of color. At least for me, I don't know, maybe for you it's different. But we're going to use that from the other set. And then next, from the 24 set, we need Flesh Tint, Medium Yellow, Crimson Red, Sap Green, Ultramarine Blue, and Lamb Black. We need a palette, and I'm using a palette paper over my palette, and then a palette knife to mix your colors, a jar of water, some paper towels, gold leaf. We need adhesive glue. We need a foam brush to clear out the gold leaf after we put it on there softly and gently, so one of these. But any kind of soft brush should be able to take out the gold leaf, but this works pretty good. So anything like this. This is a 2-inch brush. And if you have this, a hairball dryer, it will help after you add your first coats to dry everything out and continue adding layers and details. And then for the gold leaf, we're going to use the adhesive glue, right? And it takes time to dry the glue before applying the leaf right on top of the glue. We need to dry it out quickly. So instead of waiting, we'll use the hairball dryer. All these materials I'm using today, including the gold leaf and adhesive glue, there's links to them down below in the description where you can find them if you're interested. But it doesn't have to be exactly like what I'm using. You can use any materials, any kind of paint you have available. You know, these tutorials are meant to have fun, relax, and just an activity to do at home. All right, let's pick up our palette and start mixing our colors. We're going to cover the whole canvas pretty much as a base coat and the background of our canvas here. It's going to be very simple. There's no right or wrong how your background will look, so this is going to be the fun part, and if yours turns out a little different, that's fine, you know. So this part, don't worry too much about it. Just once we have the colors mixed, whatever colors you have mixed here, go ahead and put it down and blend everything in and see how it turns out, okay? It will always turn out differently. So let's pick up titanium white and create about four shades. So I'm gonna add about 2 thumbs amount, okay? And maybe less each time, a bit less each time, okay? Like this. Let's pick up the flesh tint color and add it on our first one right here, maybe even the second one. Just a little bit on both, okay? And medium yellow, let's add it a little bit on the first one and then a little bit more on the second one, and maybe here too. All right, my friends, let's add Sap Green, and we're going to add it a little bit onto the first one and a little bit more here and a little bit more here. Okay, something like this. Maybe here too, for fun. So I added more right here, as you could see. Now let's pick up the Ultramarine Blue and let's add maybe a little bit, a touch in here and a little bit more in here like this. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so now lamp black, and we're going to add right in here, we're going to add about this much and then a touch here. Okay, very small amount, and maybe in here, very small amount. I want to dim those out and make it more, you know, not too colorful. The black makes it more like grayish, okay? But just a touch there, a little bit more there, and a little bit more there. And that's it. Let's pick up our palette knife and see what colors we have here, and then if we need to mix more or add anything, we will do that, and I'll show you. But let's start with the lightest color here. Let's see what that gives us. And mix all that in. It's going to be a bright color. You could see bright green color. Okay, that's good. Mix it all in and bunch it up together like this. Okay. Next, let's mix this. Should be getting a little darker each time, basically. So it's still pretty light. I might add something on here, but we'll see. For now, let's continue mixing and see how our transition to the background colors look. And now you could do, honestly, you can do any transition, any kind of colors as the background. You could really play around, have fun with it, see what you can create. So you can have like a going from, you know, purple, light purple to dark, you know, purple, grayish purple. You know, you can do anything you want to the background. It doesn't have to necessarily have to be like the green shades. Okay, now it's getting darker, and this should be leaning towards more towards blue. Okay, you could see it's like grayish blue. That's a good color, I like it, and I think I'm gonna actually add one more color, a darker color, because all these colors are pretty light still. So I'm gonna add one more color, and then call it good. Okay, so I added lamp black and ultramarine blue. I'm going to take part of this, right, and mix it in. I don't want it to be pure black. So it's going to be a darker, like a darker gray color, leaning towards the hint of that blue that we added. You can barely see it, but that will be our darkest. Okay. All right, let's see what happens. So I have my 5 colors. Let's add all this to our background. Now basically my plan is to add the darker colors around more of the kind of like the edges around the canvas, right? And a lot of it's going to be covered by the tulips, you know, and some green, you know, leaves from the tulips. So I'm still going to cover everything though, and as the base coat anyway. So again, I want the dark around the edges and then try to make the glow somewhere around these areas, you know, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. All I'm trying to achieve here is the smooth blending between these colors. So the way yours will look, the way you will create yours might be a little bit different, you know, and that's okay, as long as we create that nice like blurry effect as the background. That's what we want. All right, so once you're happy with your colors that you have mixed, this part, try to work a little bit faster and get that first colors, you know, applied to the canvas, and then use your dry brush to blend everything in quickly, and it'll be a nice blend. I always like to, once I'm done with my palette knife, clean out my palette knife, right, like this really quickly, so that the paint won't bunch up and it's ready to be mixed again. Okay, so now once we have our colors, let's pick up one of our blending brushes. Doesn't matter which one. And I'm gonna pick up my water and dab the brush all the way in the water, right? And then squeeze out the water. Maybe do that a few times, like this. And not all the way, don't squeeze all the water. You want some of the water in there, like this. And so that the water won't drop, but there is still some water there. And also every time, because it's going to be hard for me to pick up the jar and show you every time what I'm doing. So every time I say I'm dabbing my brush in the water, basically what I'm doing is I'm going in quickly and just on the tip of the brush, I'm dabbing it lightly like this, okay? Just a small amount like this, all right? So that's what I'm doing. Every time I'll say I'm dabbing my brush, that is what I'm doing. So let's do this quick. So let's start with the lightest colors. So let's just pick up this color right here. My brush has some water in it, which will help the paint so it won't dry so quickly. That's why I dab my brush in water. It helps keep the paint wet a little bit longer. So now I'm gonna quickly just guess where I want my lighter areas to be. So for example, maybe some in here. You see how smooth that is? I'm going to dab my brush in the water because I want to keep that smoothness going, and maybe some in here, maybe even go off canvas, you know, like this. All right, that's good enough. Dabbing my brush in the water, taking my next color, randomly adding it in here, maybe some in here, okay, right in here, okay. And then maybe on top a little bit like this, dabbing my brush in the water, and there you go. All right, that's good enough. Dabbing my brush in the water, taking the green, the darker green, and adding it right in here. A lot of this is going to be covered, so don't try to be perfect. Dabbing my brush in the water lightly, and picking up more of this green and adding it right here, and maybe some in here, okay. Dabbing my brush in the water, going into my next color, this one, and let's add that right in here, okay. Randomly add that right in here, dabbing my brush in the water, picking more of this color up, and let's add some of it in here, roughly, and then dabbing my brush in the water, and taking more of this color, and I'm gonna add some right in here. And you know what? I'm gonna dab my brush in the water and go back to this maybe lighter green. It's okay, and then cover this area. Really quickly. Dabbing my brush in the water, going back to this color, and maybe add it right in here. Okay, and then dabbing my brush in the water in the darkest color. All right, darkest color, and add it on top right here. Blend it quickly, don't focus on blending them yet. Dabbing my brush in the water, taking more of this color, and adding it on top right here, covering everything else. Quickly kind of blend it all in. Okay, take more of this and blend it in the bottom here. I'm going to dab my brush in the water lightly and finish it off right here by adding it right on the bottom like this. All right, there you go. All right, so I'm going to put my brush down in my water jar and then pick up my blending brush, my dry one, and I'm going to work dry. And I'm going to start from the lightest areas. You could see it's still it's wet and it's lasting a little bit nice. It's going to be wet for a little bit of time, so that's nice. It gives me time to blend and work, right? And now I'm going to use dry and go and start from the lightest areas and quickly, barely pressing the canvas, swirl it and blend those colors in nicely. Okay. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want a nice smooth transition. Does not have to be a perfect blend to your darker color. If you bring some of the darker colors down, just focus on quickly fixing it by blending it in and continue blending everything. Now walk around, see what works best for you, because right now I'm painting sideways, so it's a little bit difficult for me to blend, because I'm trying to show you guys how I'm doing it. But honestly, it's easier if you walk around your canvas and feel free, to move around and find the comfortable spot to blend, and it'll be easy. So quickly blend everything in. I'm barely pressing the canvas, and I'm using the corner of one of my, of the blending brush. Lightly swirl it and go from lightest to darkest. Okay, see how nice that looks? Take away all the brush strokes, barely pressing your canvas. Okay, and then continue from this corner and move upwards. have a nice soft blend and a smooth transition going on right here. So our background layer of the blend is done. I like how it looks. It's going, pretty good. Yours, again, could turn out a little bit different. That's okay. That's just the background. We want a nice, like a blurry blend look. And that's what we have here. So don't focus too much in trying to make it too perfect, because we're going to be adding a bunch of, like, the big tulip is going to be here. So a lot of it's going to be, pretty covered. So now while this dries, I'm going to clean out my brushes and get a water so my brushes won't sit in the water too long. And we will finish drying this out and then continue. All right, my brushes are clean and I got a new water jar, and I quickly dried out the rest of this painting using the hairball dryer so it's nice and dry. And now we can continue sketching our shapes of our tulips and where we want them to be, and then it's going to be a fun time. So let's continue. I don't want to let this paint go to waste, so what I'm going to do is kind of bunch it up all together. All the greens, connect them to the greens like this, right? I'm going to mix that in. We'll see what it gives me. And I will probably use this paint so that it won't go to waste. So I'll just mix it quickly. So whatever color you have left, it does not matter. So let's take the remainder of this, mix it in with our darkest color here. And we're actually going to use this dark color to trace out our tulips the way we want it, the size and everything the way we want it to be, and then we will continue from there. So we got two colors. We're going to use this right now. I'm going to clean my palette knife like I did on the first time, like this. And first I'm just going to sketch everything out, okay? So I'm going to pick up my flat brush right here, 1/2 inch, dab it in the water all the way so it can be nice and damp, and squeeze it, right? And it helps to run. The reason why I like using water a lot is it helps to feel the canvas. It helps to run smoothly. You feel it and it's very smooth. Otherwise, without the water, it would be a little bit more rough. But see what works best for you again. All right, so dabbing my brush in the water so it can be a little wet, and I'm going to sketch everything. I'm going to mix you can see it's a little bit more watery, right? I'm going to mix this color, and now I'm going to start sketching where I want my, the shape of my tulips to be. Okay, so let's quickly, with water and this color that we have here, I'm going to make more of this water. I want it to be transparent. Not too much of this color, like this, because it's dark. All right, so let's have our tulip, our main tulip, where we want to focus on. I'm going to have it like be, so I'm thinking I'm going to have it start from here and maybe there's a little band and it goes down somewhere right here. Okay, and then there's going to be another little one that's, something like this. And I'm going to have this come down, kind of circle around, and I think I'm going to have it end somewhere in here. Okay, so I'm going to have it circle around and have it maybe even wider. This is where you can correct and fix your shapes of the tulips. So I'm quickly sketching it, and then I'll come back and really make it more detailed. But for now I just want to get an idea, and this helps me a lot. So I'm gonna come down, and our I think it's going to be somewhere right in here, and it's going to go down probably like this. So I'm going to use a little bit of water in this dark color and just have it fade out like this. Okay, so we'll continue with water mainly, and a little bit of this color. We don't want it too dark. I am sketching everything out. Okay, and then maybe there's another little bump here. And it comes down like this, and then okay, and then it loops around here. All right, we want it to open. We want our tulip to, you know, look very nice and open. So I'm going to continue using the same idea, water and that color, okay? And let's draw one right here because, again, I want to make it feel opened. And I'm going to have it all the way come down, all the way up in here somewhere. And then circle around, and then maybe there's another one that goes in, and then I think I'm going to have it bend a little like this. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, probably from here and further out like this. And this, I decided to make it a teeny bit bigger here. And that's what you do. You first correct your outline, your tulip. You correct it, and then once you step back and you like your shape of your tulip, then you go back and add all the colors inside the tulip and all that good stuff. You can see I made it bigger right there. Maybe even wider, like right there. Maybe this is even taller as well. So then I want a couple tulips behind this tulip. I don't want it to be the only one. I don't want it to be lonely, So I'm going to add a couple further away ones. Okay, so for example, I'm going to add one right in here. One that's, kind of going in like this. All right. Make it more circular like that. And then this probably you will be able to barely see it, but that's okay. Again, this is all just a sketch. And then right next to it, I'm going to add another one right in here. Going up like this, and maybe another little, loop right here. Okay, you could see that. Maybe even make it higher. Why not? right, that will be our second tulip behind this. This will be our main tulip right here. That's how we want it to look, right? And I see some of the things I want to change as I go. Like, for example, this is a little bit too big, so I will have to like maybe bring this area a little bit more lower, which is no problem. This is where I will spend a little bit of time correcting. But before I do that, I want to add one more tulip, and behind, you know, this one, I want to add one more. Probably, let's have it be right in here and have it kind of bend like this and circle around here. And then one that's somewhere up here, right? They all are always shaped differently. And then have it come down like this. So I'm going to add like a little loop here. Maybe make it even bigger. And you know what? I'm actually going to, since I made this bigger, I want to make this one a little bit bigger too, because I think it will look even cooler. So for example, go offside a little bit, and let's just make it a little bigger like this. There you go. That's more like it. And here, I don't want this one to feel too long, so I'm going to make this even bigger and connect it here. And that's how I work, you know, I just correct things and try to make them the way I like it. And, you know, like this, for example, I want to make it a little bit lower. So I'm going to draw this here real quick, and I'm going to bring it down here. Something like that. Now that's more like it. You see it's covering this area. I don't want it to be too tall. So for this area, I'm going to bring it down a little bit lower to make it bigger, like this. You don't have to do this, but I wanted to make this kind of, you know, balanced. So what helps is also step back and take a look. So I'm going to make this a little taller, even bigger, and this one as well. Step back, you know, see how you like it, and then correct as you go. All right, so that will be our tulips. A few here and there, and have it in there like this. Okay. So the shape is very important, because once you have the proper placement of your tulips and where you would like them to be, it's going to be a lot easier to see the picture. Okay, so here I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I think it's, you know, a little bit thicker here, and have it disappear somewhere in there. Okay, and now let's draw a few of the, you know, the leaves from the tulips. So I want to have one that is attached right in here, and it's kind of going like this, and then it goes in the tulip somewhere, and then from here it comes and it goes off the canvas, something like this. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. And one more right in here. I want to make this one as high as this area and just have it come down like this. Very skinny on top, and then go down, and then it gets bigger. So it's going to go in there like this. All right. I told you we're going to cover a lot of the background canvas, but it's a good base coat because now it's easier to lay the colors down. So I'll add a few more. So after we added this one, I'm going to add one that's attached right here, and it goes in like this, and then it kind of loops around. I'm going to use my water. Kind of loops around from here and goes down like this, and then maybe there's one inside like this, somewhere in there. I know you can barely see, but it, you know, it doesn't really matter where you place your leaves, the leaves from the tulips. So I'm going to add one more and call it good. I will add one that will be going from here and kind of have it fade in, like it's going out like this somewhere, maybe even like this. So it's at an angle, right? So let's be good with adding. I don't want to overdo it. So let's just leave it at that. And then if we need to, we'll correct things and add more as we go along, all right? So I'm going to correct a little bit more, and then we will call it good. We will continue. So for example, this area, I'll continue making it a little bit bigger. Something like that, all right? All right, that's good enough. I like it. And step back, see if you like your shapes, all right? So now, once we have that, let's mix some colors. All right, first we're gonna draw from the furthest distance and work our way up close, right? I like to work that way. I've always worked that way. We did the background, and now let's add the leaves. Let's work on the creating details of the leaves and making it look nice. And then after that, we will work on these, and then this one will be the last one we'll work on, this tulip, all right? So what I've got here is a little bit of titanium white, medium yellow, and sap green, a touch of it. And then I have sap green by itself because I'm going to mix this color, remember, that we have left. Mix it in, you know. Basically, I want it to be a lighter, kind of like this color, maybe a little darker kind of green, right? And then sap green, and then lamp black. So let's just start mixing this one first. It's going to give us a light green color. Okay, and you could see that is nice. That'll be good for the glow. And now let's take all this green and mix it in with this one. So take all that paint, mix it in with sap green right here. And whatever color it gives you, it'll be good enough. Okay, actually, if you want to make it stand out more colorful, you can add more yellow. Let's actually do that. The reason why is because I want it to stand out against the background. So I don't want it to be the same color as my background. I want it to be more, you know, to have a little bit more color and contrast to it. So I added medium yellow to give me that nice green glow. It'll change it a little bit. Okay, that's good. And our final color here will be the darkest Okay, and maybe even take all of this, who cares? Take whatever you have left here, mix it in. This will be our darkest. Okay, there you go. We have our colors mixed, 3 colors here for our leaves, okay? All right, let's pick up our number 4 right here, a rough number 4 brush, and dab it in the water all the way so it could be nice and damp. And this one, we're gonna put the first layers of, you know, the color down, right? So let's start with the lightest color, and we're gonna work one leaf at a time. So since we're on to this one, let's just start from this one and work our way this way, okay? Let's add the bright colors, and I'm guessing it's gonna be, so I'm gonna dab my brush in the water, like the same thing we did with the background. It lasts a little bit longer. So I'm gonna randomly add it like up to here and have it fade out like this, right? And then use this green to randomly add it right next to it like this. And then on each side, and you know, have it, and go all the way to that black border. Like try to cover it mostly, but if you don't, that's okay. Don't worry about, so using this color, don't worry about the background yet. We will outline that later. Okay, so that's good right there. Now I'm gonna use the black. I'm not even gonna clean my brush. I'm gonna blend it all, add that black color in. And since I have, you know, water a little bit in my, a little bit, not too much, it will blend in nicely. So I'm gonna add that dark color right along where I added the lines inside. Okay, and quickly add those colors in there. So I'm gonna add a little bit more right in here. Okay. Maybe add some right in here randomly. All right, and this is where I will use the little blending brush. See this one? And I'm not gonna try to blend everywhere so I don't carry those colors out. I want to, because that's our background color. We don't want to mess with that. But lightly press on in the middle of your, so it's not gonna blend everything, but good enough for the middle, just enough to take some of the brush strokes out. You see? Look at that. And you can pull. Don't worry about trying to, we're gonna fix that. That'll be easy. So blend it all in. Doesn't have to be perfect. You wanna leave it looking rough, but we wanna take away the brush strokes. And it's okay if you bring the darks in here, because that's a leaf too. So quickly, you know, blend it all in like this. All right. All right. So it is rough looking, but it's better than it was. You see that? You could still see a nice smooth transition. I'm going to leave it at that. So what I like to do though with my blending brush, because I don't want to leave it like this dry, so I'm going to put it in the water and I'm going to swirl it in the water, get most of the color out. I'm not going to dab it in the water. I'm going to just on top swirl it and squeeze out my brush. See, squeeze it out and it's clean again, right? And so I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to even swirl it and dry it. I'm going to leave it for now because I'm going to use it the same idea for these other ones. Actually, in fact, this is actually better to do it now. So once I cleaned it fast, I'm going to swirl it and it'll fluff back up lightly and gently. Right here, you see? Now it's ready to be used on this one. So I'm going to put it down and continue. And now that I have this all blended, I'm going to correct the edges right here, right? So what I'm going to do is pick up my detail brush, dab it in the water, and use a little bit of this lightest color and go around and lightly press. And I added water. I added water to the blending brush right here, so I won't pick up too much paint. It's mainly water and a touch of this color. And this is where the little details come in. Okay, blend out the roughness. Take away most of that background color. Okay, now let's continue. Right here, you see this area is rough a little bit. Let's add that with water. Same thing here. I want to take away this background color. I don't mind it showing a little bit, but I don't want it too much. Okay, you could spend some time cleaning it out, you know, but something like this pretty much. So now I'm gonna dab my brush in water, do the same thing, and maybe add it a little bit in here. And make sure this is actually easy if you dry this out with your herbal dryer, so if you do paint the details, you're not smearing the paint around, okay? So it's a little bit wet, and before I touch it and move, you know, mess it up, I'm gonna quickly dry it, okay? All right, so I quickly dried it out, and I'm gonna do the same thing with water and a little bit of this color, and I wanna outline it because the glow, you know, I wanna keep that glow going. So I'm gonna go up all the way where I want it to end. And correct as best as I can. Maybe even bring it down. And go around the edges on this side lightly. Okay. So I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm going to use the darker color. So I'm gonna clean my brush out and use this darker color and do the same idea with water, a little bit of this darker color, and with water I'm gonna correct. And actually here, I'm going to go all the way to the top. Okay, very small. I want it to stand out. And maybe here too. I'm gonna have it be coming down and fading out like this. Maybe there's one in the background somewhere in there. Okay, so I'm gonna clean my brush now. Just swirl it and clean it. I'm not gonna dry it, but leave it, put it down. And then I'm going to touch up a little bit more, clean out my number 4 brush right here, dab it in the paper towel so it won't be too wet, and it's still damp right here. And now I get to play around with the light color again and maybe mix it with a little bit of this color so it won't be too bright. And I want to correct some of these right here. Okay, you could see since my brush is, you know, a little damp, it blends in nicely. So I'm going to add, works transparently. Let's pretend it goes like this. There you go. Now do the same thing and clean my brush out. And let's do the same thing with the dark, just a little bit, not too much, okay? With water and a damp brush, and add the darks, you know, have the flow going. So maybe this right here, remember? Maybe bring it up like this, who knows? All right, you want to make it look smooth. So there you go. So this leaf is done. You can, like I said, spend a lot of time really correcting it and detailing it and having fun. But let's move on and, you know, continue with this leaf. All right, doing the same idea with the number 4. I'm going to clean the brush and start off with the light colors and hit your light areas. For example, this area, I want it to be pretty light in here. Right, I'm going to dab my brush in the water so it can run smooth on my canvas, and I'm gonna have it kind of bend and fade out like this, kind of what we did with the other one. And same thing, I'm going to dab my brush in the water, same thing on the edge, have it like this, right? Something like this, maybe. Okay, and then here, right in the corner, I'm going to add that in like this. And then, remember, I'm using it with a little bit of water. And then right here. I'm going to have it. Okay, and now let's use this green one. I'm going to dab my brush lightly in the water and pick up the paint, and let's add it a little bit in here. Quickly, you know, some in here. Mix it in with the yellow. Don't worry about this. We're going to do that later. Focus on the leaf. Okay, that's good. And now I'm going to dab my brush in the water and use the darkest color. And let's mix it all in. I'm going to have it be in here, this dark green color. And then maybe even darker. Okay, and then have this darkest color be inside, right in here. You can see it looks rough. That is okay. And maybe a little bit in here. I'm going to use a little bit of this green and all right, so now same idea, using my little blending brush, and since it's a little damp, it'll work even better. So oops, I started with the dark, so I'm going to dab it in the water, clean the dark out, swirl it, and lightly press. You see how nice that works? That it like erases. And start with the lighter areas. Now you don't want to blend everything, remember. You want to focus on taking away the brush strokes. That'll give you a nice smooth blend like this. So I'm not gonna focus on blending everywhere. Like I'm gonna only focus on some of the areas. So and leave it looking sharp. Okay, like this. There you go. Now I'm gonna quickly dry this out, and then we're gonna do the same thing and add those little details. All right, so now that it's dry, I'm going to first I'm gonna clean up my number 4 brush, dab it in the water, and I'm gonna take this green or yellow, doesn't really matter. You want a little bit of color with water, you see, a little bit, and correct some of the sharp from, you know, some of these areas. And since our paint is still a little wet, it'll blend in nicely. And if you have a little bit of texture, that's fine. It'll leave a little texture on your leaf so it doesn't look perfect, right? Sometimes leaf can have some texture, you know, going on. So we want to correct some of these, make them a little bit softer, you know. So water and a little bit of this color, and right in here, remember, I want to blend that in. Blend it all in. So and this side right here. Maybe even add inside here. Let's add a little bit of that green color. Like that. Clean my brush out and then continue this area right here. I wanted to clean it up a little bit. Okay, and then go back to the dark green color and let's add some darker ones with a little bit of water. So I dab my brush in the water so it could be nice and damp, and pick up more of this darker color, and let's go over some of these areas. I want to make this area a little bit darker inside here. Okay. And here I actually want to make it, I want to correct this and make this go this way. So for example, I'm going to have it go inside and come down and have it go like this. So cover this. With the dark color. So I'm going to quickly blend that in using my blending brush. Take away most of those brush strokes. There. There you go. You see? Barely touching it. That's good right there. And I'm going to correct a few more areas and then we will, for example, this area. I'm going to do the same thing actually with the black and kind of bring it down here. So dab my brush in the water so it can run smooth. Have it come down like this. All right. Clean my brush out. Use this green with water. I want to blend in this area. It's a little rough looking. Blend it in with your black. See how nice that looks? There you go. Okay, so instead of working with my detail brush, I'm going to switch to my flat brush because it's a little bit bigger here. And I'm going to add some of the, so I'm going to take part of this dark color here and the green. I want to mix those two, make it a little bit lighter, right? But I want it to be a little bit dark. And I want to add right in here. I want to have it fade in like this. Let's pretend, you know, there's a leaf right behind that one. And then so now I'm going to clean my brush and use this light color right here and go around the edge. Kind of blend those in. Hold on a second. I don't like how it's looking, but that's okay. I will fix it. So I'm going to add a little bit of the dark to create some separation. So maybe right here. Okay. Clean my brush out. Use my number 4 actually, and lightly blend those in. Okay, so I'll come back to the flat brush and let's clean out my brush and lightly, you know, blend it in softly. Okay, go back to the lightest color and clean out your flat brush, and with water in this lightest color, let's just add a few more details and we'll be done with this leaf. So I want to make this area a little bit brighter here. Okay, create some details there. And then do the same thing here, lightly. And add that glow. And then I'm gonna clean my brush out real quick and then go back to the darkest color with water and right in here. And have it fade out. All right, we pretty much are done with this one. Let's move on to the next one. Let's work on this one. A couple more left, not too much. So let's clean our number 4, doing the same thing. This will be a little bit easier because it's going to be a little bit less of the color, so less going on. So let's just add the light right in here. Right, and then it's going to fade out somewhere in there. And pretty much this green one, I'm going to dab my brush in water and use this green. And then I think I'm going to, with the green, I'm going to have it come down like this, and that's it. All right, that's good. I'm going to use the darkest color now. This one will be simple. I'm going to clean my brush out because I want this area to be pretty dark. And just use this darkest color. And then here we're going to have to, try to be as careful as we can not to mess up our mixing. It's okay if you cover, part of your sketch here. Okay, so now that we covered this area, let's quickly blend everything in. Okay, let's use our blending brush again and softly, there's going to be a leaf here, so I'm not worried about carrying, going over here, but not here, so I'm going to leave that as it is. And blend in quickly. All right, something like that. There you go. Now I'm going to clean my brush, dry it out, do the same idea, same technique. So my brush is clean again. Now you can achieve this blending the same thing, like I said, with the artist soft brush right here. Just kind of blend everything in, but you would have to, do it a few coats maybe. This is just a lot faster, and I've been testing these, and I wanted to make these available because it's a lot easier to add and blend everything in with the little details. Okay, so now that this is clean, let's quickly dry this out and then add a few details on this one and then move on to our last one, and we'll be good with our leaves. We'll move on to our tulips. All right, it's pretty much dry. I cleaned my number 4 and I'm going to use this green one right here. Do the same idea with a little bit of water, okay, so it can run smooth, and correct some of these areas where it didn't blend so well. See how nice that looks? So in here, I'm not even gonna touch this area too much, but something like this. That's it. I don't want to do too much. I like how it turned out, but I do want to correct, you know, correct this area right here. So I want to add a little bit of the dark, and right here where it has that dark color, I want to make that area dark. Okay, so I'm going to dab my brush lightly in the water and pick up more of this dark color and try to be as careful as I can. Okay, and then maybe in here, I'm going to do the same thing. Lightly with the water. Correct. Well, this is going to be dark from this leaf, so doesn't matter, but let's just go back with a detail brush now and swirl it and use the lighter color, and let's go in and correct and it's okay if some of the background, you know, layer that the outline is shown if you wanted to. I think I'm gonna leave it. I kind of like it. It acts like a shade or something. So I'm going to clean it up and fix that using a darker color because I wanted it to be dark, not light. Okay, just like that. Little details. Now, what I'm gonna do real quick, actually, let's continue. So this is done. Let's continue on this one real quick, and then I'll show you something fun that I like to do after I finish this, okay? So let's do the same idea, this lightest color, right, with water. And let's add this right in here. Go right on the edge and have it fade out somewhere in there. Maybe in here, okay? Let's use this green one. Okay, and our final color, I'm going to clean it out and use the darkest color right here. Do the same thing what we did with this one. Dab it in the water. I'm going to actually add a little bit of green on the edge right in here. Clean my brush and use the dark one again. Quickly cover some of this. Alright. Clean my brush and then maybe use a little bit of this green. And let's correct this a little bit. Use the black because I want this area still to be dark. Alright, that's good enough. Our blending brush and quickly, lightly blend those gently in. Now I'm going to quickly dry this out and do the same thing, add a few details, and we'll call it good. Alright, it's pretty much dry. I'm going to pick up my clean number 4, use this green color, this middle color, and correct some of these areas here. Okay, I'm not going to bring it too much down, but this area right here I want to correct, make it smoother transition. There you go. Now I'm going to clean my brush and do the same thing with the dark. So my dark color here with water, and correct this area right here. I want to dim it down like this, okay? And then use a little bit of this dark color along here. So I'm going to dab it in the water and continue, shaping out the shadows and shades. Like that. Alright, and now I'm going to use the detail brush this time. And let's start off with the lightest color here. And let's cover some of the background shade that we have here. So again, the lightest color, and let's fade it out. Okay, it goes in maybe somewhere in there. We'll correct that, and then a little bit of this light color, I want it to glow. And then have it fade out in here somewhere. Okay, and then kind of blend it all in. So use a little bit of this green in water and blend that in lightly. Like that. Dab my brush in the water And I think I'm going to continue this green, the darker green. Have it come down. And go in like that. Okay, clean my brush. Do the same thing with the black, correct some of the areas. For example, here, I want to make a smoother transition. Dab my brush in water, and let's carefully fade it out. Same thing here. So I'm going to correct it a little bit with this light color because I don't want it to be everywhere. So actually clean my brush and use the middle green one. I don't want it to be too bright. And let's add a little bit there and then correct some of this area right here. Okay, we are pretty much done. The last thing I want to do, and I like to do, is straight out of the tube, the black and my artist's Loft brush with some water in it, a little bit, not too much. Do the same thing and add the darker shadows on some of, the bottom part right here. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I recommend it because it's going to really make your painting stand out, but totally up to you. So now I'm going to clean my brush into the water, dab it in the paper towel, and blend those in. Make it a little darker, not too dark though, but you could see just on some of the areas. And if it's too much, because it's still wet, you can move and play with it, So right there, and then a little bit of this darkest color straight out of the tube right in here. I want to add some depth, so that's why I'm adding this black color. Make sure you don't have too much water, but enough to make your paint move. Okay, something like this. Okay, maybe a little bit in here. Okay, and then let's do that in here. dab my brush in water. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this darker color right in here. And if it's, you know, too wet, you can use your blending brush to, you know, gently smooth it out. Like this. Not too much, but that's good right there. And a little bit more in here. And a little bit in here. There you go. Very lightly. You could see, you know, we added our darks and lights, and then that really creates a nice depth. So our leaves are done. We can happily move on to the next thing. And before I move on to the next thing, since we have the green mixed, let's draw out this little thing from the flower. You know, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it. Comment down below the name of this thing right here. I'd like to know. Our half flat brush right here, 1/2 inch flat brush, and let's start off with the lightest color right here, and right on the edge we're gonna swirl it and bring it down like somewhere in there like this. Okay, so dab my brush lightly in the water so it can run smooth, and okay, try to make it as clean as possible like this. And then the same thing on this side. Let's make it a little bigger. All right, something like that. There you go. And now let's use this green and add the green, a little bit of this green color on both sides. Right, like this. And then our final color, I'm gonna use this green. And actually, let's use a little bit of Sap Green because I want to make it a little bit stand out a little more than, you know, the other colors. So the Sap Green and some black, mix it in, a little bit of this color, mix it in, and let's add that right in here. See how nice that looks? Okay, we're gonna lightly add it and have it come down, and then it's gonna fade out to this darker color. But you could see I'm lightly blending. I'm not trying to So I'm going to correct some of this area right here. Maybe I made it too bendy here, but that's okay. We'll do that. We'll work on that. And then our last, you know, use the darkest. Mix it in with the Sap Green. Like this. And then maybe a little bit of this dark right in here. Clean my brush out a little bit and blend the edges right here. Okay. All right, we have that sketch done right, but I want to correct it a little bit because I think I screwed up a little bit, not too much, but right in here I'm gonna use a little bit of this darkest color, and right in here I'm gonna correct this. It's back and forth. So now with a detail brush, I'm gonna go back to the lightest color, swirl it with water, and now I'm gonna really try to, you know, get the glow and the details, make it as perfect as I can, all right? Dab it in the water and continue. Let it fade out right there. And then I'll correct this side. And have it go all the way down, like you see right there. So I'm going to clean my detail brush and use a little bit of this green to blend out. So I'm going to dab it in the water, use a little bit of the green, and try to slowly blend the colors out. I'm not going to go all the way down. I like how it's fading there. But here, oops. Okay, so I'm going to put it down and use my number 4. And use a little bit of the Sap Green. And maybe a little bit of this green. With water, I'm going to dab my brush slightly in the water so it can run smooth. Okay, and then here I want to get the darkest color mixed with Sap Green. Dab it in the water a little bit. And maybe even add a little bit more of the dark color right on the bottom right here. It's going into a shadow. Okay, that is good right there. So I'm going to do something real quick, use a little bit of this black and a detail brush, and I want to fix something and we will be good with this painting. So I'm going to, right here, I'm going to try to fix the wave, make sure it's a little bit more, a little bit more straighter. Same thing here a little bit. Dab it in the water and add a line right in here. There you go. All right, I am happy with it. I hope you are too, and we can move on. I promise this is the last thing I'll do to the bottom part right here is use the Sap Green and your little detail brush right here. Take a little bit of that color, a little bit, and my brush is wet, right? You could see it's transparent. I'm going to add that green glow onto, some of my leaves right in here. I want it to be a little more green, so I'm going to use that color. Maybe right in here a little bit. You could see how nice that looks. We're working transparent, so I'm not using a lot at all. You can skip this if you want, but I think that's how you get the nice glow. And a little bit right in here. See how nice that looks? That changes everything. Even in here. There you go. Now we can move on to the next thing. All right, I also dimmed down using Sap, Sap Green, kind of dimmed down this side because I realized I took a step back. I realized that you could see the light source is coming from like this side, because more on the right side it's glowy, so that's why I wanted to make this brighter than this. So I corrected that, took me like a couple minutes. So that's what I did, but now that I'm done with this, let's continue and add our fun part, the flowers, the beautiful part, all right? Everything's beautiful here, but this is gonna be fun. So in order to make it easier for you guys, so you guys can see what I'm doing, I got a new palette to, so you guys can see how I'm mixing and everything, because the other one was getting a bit too messy. So let's pick up our titanium white and create let's start with 3 shades. So I'm gonna, probably add about 2 thumbs, 1.5 thumb amount right there, and then maybe a little less right here, and then a touch maybe here, very small amount. Okay, 3 right here. You could see a small amount right there. All right, guys. So this is what I did to make it easier. I added flesh tint, a little bit of that there, and then a little bit of medium yellow right here, a touch you could see, and then right here I had flesh tint, and then crimson red, about the same amount right here, and then crimson red, a little bit more than the white you can see, and then crimson red, a touch of lamp black, and I also added a touch of white there. So let's mix these. That will be our colors for our flowers. So let's mix them and see what it gives us, and if we need to add something, we will, okay? So this will be like a beautiful peachy color. I like that color. All right, it's gonna look good against the gold leaf. That's why I wanted that mixed a little bit of yellow with flesh tint, because it's gonna really make the gold stand out nicely. So, right there. Next, let's quickly mix that, and it should gradually get darker from here. So I'm looking at this and seeing if I like it. Okay. Next should be even darker. So actually I'm going to add more of the crimson red right here. Let's do that real quick, because I want this to I want the bottom to stand out a little bit more. As we go down, blending, it's going to go from light to dark. So I'm going to take part of this a little bit, so I won't have to add white, and mix it in. Okay, that's beautiful. Yes, it's going to look great. Okay. Okay, and our final color should be pretty close to this one, just a little darker. That's nice right there. You see that? That will be our colors for the flowers. Going from this kind of peachy color to pink to the darkest, like a cherry color. That's what we have. And again, you can mix your colors. You can make it yellow, you can make it blue, you can make any kind of shade that you want, doing the same, using the same amounts, and create from lightest to darkest. And you could do the same technique, I'll show you, and paint your flowers. So it's up to you, have fun with it, see what you can create. But now that we have this mixed, let's start with the next for this thing, which are, after these will be these flowers. So we're going to work on these ones first, and then our last flower right here in front of us, okay? All right, let's pick up our flat brush right here, and then we're going to start with this one. Like we did with the leaves here, we're going to start with the lightest and take this beautiful color we have mixed, right? And then maybe dab your brush in the water so it could run a little bit smooth. And we're going to quickly sketch out the areas where we want it to be bright. So for example, this area, we're going to have it bright and have it fade out in there somewhere like this. Okay, quickly. And then let's have another line, fade out like this. All right, really quick. And then on top right here, I want this to be bright coming down, and maybe have it fade out right here. Okay. So maybe even bring it down here. And then this one. Okay, somewhere in here. Dab my brush in water so it can run smooth. And then this. Roughly bring it down. Okay, and then next, this pink one, and go around and add the pink right where you added that light color. Okay, really quick. So dab my brush in the water and use this color and go around and add that pink in there. Okay. And then maybe in here have it fade out. Dab my brush in the water so it can run smooth. And I'm going to add a little bit in here, have it fade out. And then inside, actually just add that pink in there like that. It's okay. You can go back if you need to with the lighter one in. There you go. That's good. Okay, come back to this pink and let's add the pink a little bit lower right in here, like this. Dab my brush in the water, use the pink again, and you know, maybe have it come up all the way like this, not everywhere. And then in here. Okay, and then our last one, like this. Now I'm going to dab my brush in the water, go to my next color, this one, and it's getting darker now. Now we want to add some darker color. Okay. While my paint, that's why I dab my brush in the water, because the paint doesn't dry, you know, as fast. So it's okay if you cover part of what you drew. Okay. And quickly add that in there. Okay. And let's add a little bit in here. Now this will be darker, but I'm going to go around the edges right in here really quick. Dab my brush in the water and add a little bit of this pink. And now I'm going to use the darkest color right here, this cherry one, and I want to really make this one dark right in here. So I'm going to go around and have it and then do the same thing right in here. Okay. So I'm going to dab my brush in the water and try to blend those, make it smoother. Right, continue. And I want to add this dark cherry color right in the middle right here. Right? We want to make this darker in here. Really quickly, dab my brush in the water and cover this area. And our final area right in here. Quickly add that in there like this, okay? Now let's pick up our little blending brush right in here. We have it, you know, swirl it to fluff it up. And it's a little damp, but that is what we want. And not everywhere, but on the, from the, you know, you don't want to carry the darks, but you want to blend in some of the areas right here from the light to the dark. And it's okay if you don't blend everything in. We just want to blend a little bit of it. And it's okay, like I said, bring that paint up in here. It's okay if you have some lines. We want to make actually those lines stand out. So don't be in a little bit in here. You know, like some of these lines right here, it's beautiful. We want to keep those. All right, so there you go. Now we have that done, our quick sketch. We're gonna dry this out and do the same thing like we did to blend, correct some of those. We're gonna do that real quick there. All right. Okay, now that it's kind of almost dry, so it took me like a couple minutes, maybe a minute to, you know, get it mostly dry. It doesn't need to be fully dry because we want to be able to blend those areas, right? So let's use this pink one right here. Okay, this pink and number 4, and blend in and correct some of these areas, and follow your patterns. You know, yours might look a little bit different, right? Just follow your patterns. Blend in, you know, the areas you think, you know, need, like for example right here. Right? I'm gonna actually use this cherry color right here, the darker one, and darken a little bit of this side. You see how nice that works? And I'm not gonna do it everywhere, but maybe a little bit of this pink and add it right in here. A little bit on the edge. Okay, and let's continue and maybe add a little bit of this pink in here. Okay, now I want to add a little bit of that lighter color, so I'm going to clean my brush and add this lighter color that we have mixed here with a little bit of water, and right on the edge, barely pressing, carry that and blend it in. You see how nice that turns out? Maybe even bring it up a little bit like this. Let it glow. Let it glow. And then here as well. Okay. And then dab my brush in the water and use a little bit of this color continue. And I want to bring it down right in here. Lightly, like that. And then let's add a little bit of this pink, this one, lighter pink, and I want to make this area a little bit more pink right here. Maybe the leaf is, you know, bending in here, and it fades out. Okay, all right, so now I'm gonna use the, you know, darker colors. For example, let's use this darkest cherry color we have mixed, and let's add it right here and really start to add more color with water and blend it out. See how nice that looks? So a little more of the darkest color. Let's do that right in here. Create that nice glow from the darkest to the light. And I want to add it more in here, this corner. So in here, I wanted to actually make it a little bit more pink. I want to add a little bit more, you know, have it bend a little more. You know, I think it's important to correct things as you go. So I'm going to use the lighter color now and add on a corner. And it doesn't have to be all, you know, white everywhere, because maybe this is a little bit of, you know, it's just kind of maybe glowing there. And I want to also correct this area. I'm going to use this pink. I want to make this a little bit more lighter in here, going in. And having it fade out like this. There you go. Okay, that's nice. You could see it's starting to look like a beautiful tulip here. We want that. And I want to be able to correct one more thing. I'm going to use this cherry color and we'll be good. Is I want to add it right in here. Make this a little darker on the bottom. There you go. Okay, and then last thing, this lighter pink, maybe mixed with a little bit of this cherry, is I want to dim this down, this bottom part down. Okay, I want it to gradually get lighter. Okay, like that. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that lighter color here with my lightest color, a little bit right here on the edge. There you go. All right. So now it's all about the detail work. I'm not going to add too much details because you get the idea. It's pretty much done. But with my detail brush and the lightest color, swirl it and make sure you dab your brush in the water and it's nice and, you know, transparent right there. And then I'm going to correct it. I'm just going to go up and, you know, make it look a little bit bumpy, you know, make it look more interesting. So I'm going to dab my brush in the water and have it fade out from here. Okay, I'm going to have it fade out like this. And then here, I'm going to attach this right here. Okay, I want that to be a little bit more brighter right in here. And then fading it out on the bottom right here. And then I'm going to correct this area, also fading it out. Okay, a little bit more right in here. I want this to be bright in here and going in like this. Okay, I want that light to be hitting it. Maybe this will have a little bit more of this lighter color. Okay, let's continue with this light color and correct this area. Make it super glowy. Have it fade out. Fade in. Okay, and then right in here. Fingers, when you use your finger, sometimes it could help. And I think I'm looking at this to see if I want to add anything else. I think I'm gonna use a little bit of this pink and go around and add a little bit of that glow on some of these. So here I want to kind of attach that. Make this a little brighter in here. Like that. All right. And I think that's good enough for this. We are pretty much done with this one. One thing I could add actually is, I'll go back to the lightest color and lightly add maybe a little bit right along here. Very small, maybe because it's glowing from the background. Okay, so that's done. We are done with this tulip. We can move on to the next one. Just adding a few more little touch-ups. And that's it. Okay, I'm done with this one. We can move on to the next one. You can spend a lot of time, really detailing and getting it the way you want it, but you get the idea. So let's do the same thing with that one. Let's start with the lightest color and our number 4 brush here. Dab it lightly in the water, and let's start with, this kind of area right here. I want this to be bright. Right in here. Okay, more of this color, and let's add it a little bit in here. Dab my brush in the water and pick up more of this light color, and let's add some right in here. Dab it in the water. More of the lighter color, and then something like that. All right, now moving on to the pink color and around the bottom. We're going to add that pink. Okay, adding it right in here. I'll make this pink, nice and pink, right there, and then touch in here, lightly dabbing my brush in the water, taking more of this pink, and let's add some right in here. And then some in here and on the bottom right here. You can go back to the lighter color here and try to correct some of this. All right, that's good. Let's go to the next color, the beautiful color here, and add it a little bit in here. Dab it in the water. Add a touch in here. Let's add some right along here. And then along this side. Okay, and then continue on adding it a little bit in here. And that's going to be good. And then dab my brush in the water and use the darkest color we have mixed. Let's start with the bottom area right in here. Dab my brush in the water so it can run smoothly. And bring that darkest color up. Okay, and in here, let's add it. And then inside, right in here. Okay, so there you go. We added that. Now let's get our blending brush and lightly with a little one or any kind of fluffy brush, small one that you have available. Lightly start with the lightest color and dab it, make sure you're not touching outside. We're going to blend those in, but just the inside, and carry that. Down like this. And it's okay if you bring it down onto this. There you go. See, I didn't blend everything in. I just did just a little bit, okay? So now I'm going to quickly dry this out and do the same thing, how we did with that one. All right, now we can pick up this with our number 4, this pink color, and let's correct some of this area on top with water. Now I want to bring some of this pink, so I'm going to dab my brush lightly in the water so it won't be too wet, but so it can run smoothly on the canvas. So here I want to bring some of these colors down like this. Okay, really quickly, I'm correcting and making it look softer. Okay, and then a little bit of that pink right in here. Okay, and do the same thing, clean my brush out, but with a light color, so this one. And let's just start on this side. And we're going to use some of it with a detail brush to bring it down, so I'm not going to work on trying to get it all perfect yet. Okay. Okay, and I think I'm going to add the pink a little bit with this, mix it in a little bit, because I think I want to make this a little bit darker and go higher like this. So I'm going to clean my brush out and blend that in. There you go. That's more like it. Add a little bit of more of this pink in here. All right, and now the detail brush with the lightest color in water. We are going to go over, starting on this side, go over, you know, some of these mixture. You're not, you know, if you want, you can quickly dry out the painting so you won't be bring that light down all the way like this. Okay, continue. Let's correct this one and have it fade down like this. Maybe there's a little bump. We don't want to make it too perfect. And that goes down like this. All these little fine details add up to a beautiful painting. Okay, I'm going to dab my brush in water. Make this area bright. And have it fade out like this. All right. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this pink color and water. And I want to make this a little bit more pink in here. Dim it down right in here. Something like that. Maybe come back to the light color. Spend a little time blending those in. Okay, and then some more pink, and I think I want to make something here like this. Okay, some lines going down. See how nice that looks? Maybe I added too much, so I will quickly correct it, just quickly. Right here. I want it to be at an angle, at a curve, okay? Even do some in here maybe, actually. You know, maybe there's some small ones that are, maybe some in here with water and this pink, like go with the flow, like that. Okay, some lines from the flowers. Okay. There you go. That's nice right there. And I think a little bit more pink on this side. And it's going to fade out like this. All right, and now I'm going to the darkest color here, dab it in the water, and I want to add a little bit of that right behind there. Very, very small amount. To make it stand out a little bit. Okay. And maybe here. But not everywhere. Okay, so like in here, I want that to be bright. And it fading in like this. Okay. Cause that separation. In fact, I'm going to dim this one with maybe these two colors and dim this. Oops. Let's use this pink. Dim this area right in here. Yeah. That's what needed to happen. There you go. Okay, and pretty much that's it. That's it for this tulip, and I think we can move on to the final tulip and then the gold leaf, which is the fun part. All right, now our last flower here, doing the same thing with water and the slightest color. Let's sketch out the brighter area. So for example, right here, let's have it come down, you know, and then maybe there's some little bumps, you know, don't make it too perfect. Make it a little rough looking, even make it even taller. Because this is the closest one, so we want to make it actually, maybe make this one, you know, like this. Okay, and then let's make this one bigger. Let's bring it down like this. All right. Actually, I'll even make it bigger. make it go down like this. There you go. All right. And in here, we're gonna have some going on. But we'll do that probably later. But for now, you know, let's just, I mean, like we'll probably cover everything because it'll be hard to blend, but, and then come back to that. We'll get to that in a bit, but let's continue adding it in here. Remember this one, so I'm gonna dab my brush in the water, pick up more of this light color and have it you know, and it's probably going to get darker somewhere in there. So I'm going to continue. And then here, really quickly, draw out dab my brush in the water, and I think I'm going to fade it out into the pink in there, and then this one will be going in here and then coming up. And have it go around. So I'm going to dab my brush in the water again and this light area. And then this one. Something like that, and then of course our final one right in here. Dab my brush in the water, make little bumps here because it's the closest one, so we don't want it to be too perfect, and have it fade somewhere in there. Okay, so we got our first sketches done. Now dab our brush in the water. Let's use the pink and let's just play with covering everything. So this is going to be covered up to here. Dab my brush in the water. Maybe take the lighter color because we want this to stand out the most. Okay, and then inside here, let's blend it in with our white. Dab it in the water, use this pink again, and here actually I'm going to use the lighter color right here and blend it in here. I want this to be pretty bright. Going in, and then it's going to fade out to a different color. So dab our brush in the water, go back to the pink, and let's add some right in here. Oops, that's okay. Maybe some lighter color. I'm running out of paint, that's okay. We can always add more later. Dab it in the water, use this pink. Let's add it right in here. like this. Dab it in the water, this pink again, and let's add that in here. Now this one's getting a little darker, as you can see. Dab it in the water. Take more of this pink. Let's add it right in here. Dab the brush in the water. I hope that's not annoying, guys, but I'm explaining everything I'm doing so that it will be easier for you guys to understand. Okay, and then maybe here. Gonna have to work around that. Okay. All right. I think it's on to the next color, this one. I dab my brush in the water, and let's add it right in here a little bit. Maybe some in here. Let's continue. Maybe some alongside here. Quickly add your colors. Don't spend too much time on making it perfect, because we need to also blend them quickly. All right, so let's continue with this cherry color and add it right on the bottom right here, lightly. Okay, dab my brush in the water, take more of that beautiful color and add it right in here. Add it all over on this side. It's like a heart shape right here. So dab my brush in the water and do the same thing right in here. Okay, and then the final cherry color. Quickly dab my brush in the water. Quickly add that in there. Okay, maybe some in here. Mainly in here. Okay, and then some in here. Go back to your lighter pink colors to create that transition. All right, that's good enough for now. Let's quickly blend everything in with our bigger blending brush. This is the next size up right here from that smaller one, because it's a bigger tulip, you know, bigger space. And we're gonna start with this and blend, barely touching. Try to not get this color onto the ones we worked in the back. Just go around inside, okay? and lightly tap and swirl. And it's okay if that color goes on to some of the bottom here, because we're going to go back to that. But we want to blend it out as best as we can inside, you know. And if not everything blends out perfectly, that's okay. So start with your lightest and, you know, work your way down. So right here, I'm not going to blend too much in here. And then this one. Okay. And our final one. Quick blend. Okay, really quick. Try not to get too much of that dark. Okay, and blend the bottom end. Right there. Okay, so there you go. We have our sketch, and now let's dry this out and then do the details like we did in the back. Alright, now I added a little bit of black and more crimson red here. I'm going to mix it in with the leftover here. I want this to be a little bit darker because I just want it to, you know, have it darker tones, darker, like these have darker ones, you know, so I want it to be a little bit more. Actually, I'm going to add more crimson, and then you could see I'm running out of paint, but I think I have enough, just enough to finish this tulip. So I'm going to quickly mix that. It's just black and crimson red. Basically, we want it to be a shade darker than this one we mixed here, okay? That should do it right there. All right, that's good enough. And now we will pick up our number 4 and dab it into the paper towel, and it's still damp. And let's use this while it's still a little wet, you know, here, and we have a little bit left here. Let's quickly add, let's go over and blend in the areas where we want it to make it look smoother. Maybe not everywhere. You could see I'm skipping some of the areas, but maybe some of these areas. So I'm going to dab my brush in the water and lightly, I want to create so I want to maybe create, you know, like a it's bent, you know, so I want to create those lines in there like this. So I'm going to dab it in the water because I got some of that red. Continue with the lighter color first. Maybe if it's too perfect, I don't want too much, you see, I want it to be just a little. And we're going to add gold leaf around this, just this one. If you could add around those if you want, but I want to add it all around this one, okay? I want this one to stand out the most. So that's what we'll do last, after we're done with this. So now let's quickly continue adding think I'm going to add a little bit of that light going in like this. Oops. It's okay. That's okay. This way like this. Okay, dab my brush in the water and continue on with this light color. And I want to draw out the shape. And we're going to do this with a detail brush, so don't worry about this actually. Let's skip that one. Let's continue on with this one. Maybe it splits up in here, and then more of it goes down here, and then inside like this. I want this area to glow. Okay, and I want it to go inside, touching probably until this area right here. From the light. Maybe the light is glowing, you know, and hitting this, and it's glaring there. So I'm gonna kind of bring that down around here and have it fade out like this. Okay, something like that. That'll be good. Maybe make it lighter here. These things take a little bit of time, but once you get it, it's amazing. It's worth it. So I'm going to dab my brush in the water and kind of do the same thing around these. Like maybe, you know, maybe there's some roughness. Okay, and let us continue. And let's add, so I'm going to dab my brush lightly in the water again. And remember this right here, I'm going to split this right here. And have it fade out. See, I want to do that too. I want to do that here, you know, like I want to make it curvy. That's why I'm adding these. And then in here as well. Like it's going in. Okay. Okay, and then a little bit in here. Dip it in the water and continue with the same color, the lightest color, and let's add some on these ones. We don't want to forget these guys. Okay. Brush in water. Create that nice, beautiful effect. Okay. Oops. And then this one, of course. Okay, you can work doing the same idea like with these, you know, in here. And now I'm going to continue and I'm going to use the darkest color here, and I mixed some of them because I ran out. The same color, same idea. You know, even if it's a shade, you know, lighter or darker, that's okay. But this one, we need it to be darkest because we want this to really stand out. So you could see I'm gonna make it super dark, and I'm gonna bring it up here, mix it around here. Okay. Now really try to make this dark. Dab my brush in the water, and with water, try to blend those in with your background colors. Okay. So, using the darkest color you have. Okay. I'm gonna dab it in the water and blend it in. Blend it all and make it as smooth as you can. Okay, so maybe here it goes dark actually. Let's make this a little bit darker in here. Okay, that's nice. Alright, and then here, I want to actually make this area a little bit dark. And the transition here, going into the darkest. Dab my brush in the water. And then maybe get the lighter color here and try to blend those in. Okay. So I'm going to make this a little bit lighter. So you see I made more. Make it a little lighter in here. And working around here. Right, and then let's add the darkest, this one. Let's go with the darkest, and right inside we want to really, maybe even here, darken some of these on the bottom right here. So I'm going to dab it in the water and try to blend it in like this. Okay. Do the same thing on this one right here and darken this inside and have it spread out. Okay, almost done. Okay, and then let's add the darks in here a little bit. I want to darken this. And then go over with the light color that you have mixed here and just correct all this, you know, all these little details on top. You could even bring it down a little bit, some of the highlights if you want, but that'll be the final thing we do, and then the gold leaf, and then we are done. So I'm gonna go around fixing, for example, right here, right? I wanna make it a little bit brighter. So I'm gonna, and rougher looking, like this. Make it glow, right? Have it go up a little bit, maybe come down. And maybe it goes in inside there somehow. And then this, maybe it goes in here somewhere, right? You just have to play it by ear. Try your best to make it as detailed as you can. You know, correct some of these areas and spend time doing that. And I'm going to do that real quick. Go around all the edges, make them, some of them look rough, and do that. All right. My apologies, guys. My battery died, so it skipped a little bit, but not too much. I basically did the same thing here like I did with these, you know, detailing. I did it here just a little bit more with a detail brush. And I'll show you exactly what I did so you guys won't get confused. Now I ran out of the colors, so it's basically the same mixture. You could see titanium white right here, and then flesh tint, and then yellow, a touch of it, and then flesh tint, crimson red by itself, and then crimson red and black. And I'll mix that, and it should give me the same like light color, you know, like we, but if you already had some of it, like this is leaning towards yellow more, so I'm gonna actually add a little bit more white to it. Maybe take it from here. And then this one should be pink. So I'm going to add a little bit white to this one as well. Let's do that real quick so it won't be too dark. Right there. So let's just mix this one first. That's better. Lighter. And then I'm going to clean my palette knife so I won't carry the darks, and mix the light one right here. I want it to be pretty bright. Doesn't have to be, you know, perfect. And then the last one right here, the black, I want it to be dark. That's why I added, maybe take a little bit part of this. I want it to be leaning towards a heavier dark. And that's what I did basically. I'm showing you what I did. Basically with these colors and crimson straight out of the tube, I made it, I put a glaze like we did, remember, with the green glaze of Sap Green here at the end to make it more greener and glowy. That's what I'm going to do with this one right here. And actually I already did it, but because it skipped a little bit, but that I'm just trying to explain what I did. And so basically using my number 4 damp in the water, and you know, I'd go back and take this with water and correct the areas, right? Correct where I want it to look softer, and I'd play around until I'm happy with it, right? Now I'm not gonna do this too much because you get the idea. Basically I do that, and then I play with this lighter pink going down like I did with those, right? So that's what I've been doing. And for the fine details, with a detail brush, dab it in the water and this color with water, right? And this is where I put all these little details. So I started from this one, right? And then I just kind of, you know, added all the little details going around, shaping out my flower, right? That's where the gold leaf will be, so don't spend too much time. But basically that's what I did. I went around, and then also with water and this color right here, I drew these lines right here like this, and then I used my finger to kind of smooth it out like that. Okay? And that's how I got these lines right here. You see, if I'll do one right here, lightly, barely pressing, and then use my finger, and it kind of creates that nice effect. Okay? And now that's what I basically did with the details. Going back and forth, you know, spending a little bit of time doing that. So that's what I've been doing. Maybe here I'll go up a little bit. All right. And then same idea, after I'm done with the white, I go in with the darkest color here and water, and I swirl it and then into the water in my darkest color, and then I go, and that's how I added these little, you know, cuts in the flower. Very gently. I just, for example, let's just, so you guys could see, let's add one. Let's just choose a spot. You want to choose a spot that has like a little, you know, bend. Like for example, right here. Let's choose a spot right here, like that. Okay, and I did the same thing. Use my finger, and you see how that created that nice effect, like a break. And so that's what I've been doing. And then same thing here for the bigger. So all these little details. That's what I've been doing. And then going down here in the bottom, adding the darker, you know, lines. You know, right here like this. Going around, maybe detailing it, you know, sharpening some of these areas. For example, right here. Cover that lighter area, make it more sharper. Okay. You could spend as long as you want on these details, totally up to you. Okay, so, and then after the detail brush, you can come back, and that's what I did with the crimson red, just by itself, and water. You see it's a little wet, right? And I just kind of added that crimson red by itself with water, like this, randomly. You know, on some of this areas right here, trying to make it more red. And then I use the blending brush to kind of smooth it out a little bit. All right, so basically that's it. That's what I did, and I detailed it the way I want it. Spend as much time as you want, but pretty much I'm done with this. Now the fun part, I'm gonna quickly dry this out, and the fun part, I'm going to add the gold leaf, which is pretty easy and fun. And what we're gonna do is add this adhesive glue right here, and we're gonna use our detail brush to go around the edges and add, you know, it's gonna be transparent, so we're gonna add it all around here, and then all around here, and then this one, and then this right here, and this one, and then this one. That's it. And then we're gonna dry it with the hairball dryer, and then we're gonna add the gold leaf and watch it come to life. So I'm gonna put it a little bit in here, not too much. You could see it's like water, so about this much is fine for now. And I'm gonna clean my detail brush and use this. Now it's moving fast, so you don't want a lot of it, but just swirl on onto your detail brush, and we're gonna go around the edges of where we want the gold to be, okay? So I'm gonna quickly go around everything. So I'm done adding all around, and now I'm going to quickly dry this out about like a couple minutes and then make sure it's all dry, and then we'll apply the gold leaf. Okay, so they come in a pack, so I ripped it off, and you could see you have to be very careful because it's very thin. You can see this orange paper right behind it because that helps to press. So for example, I'm going to add it right flat like this, right? Add it on one area at a time. So let's cover this area first. Let's just cover this area. Okay, like this. And press. Press where you think, where you added that, right? Okay, so that is done. If you need to go higher, you can. Okay, right there. Next, rip out another piece of sheet, and we'll continue adding another one. Let's cover this area. So, like this. And then gently press on where you added. All right. And to save some of it, sometimes I like to rip and rip it out and use it for the little parts. But for now, I'm going to continue just using this so it could be a little faster for you guys. But so I'm going to rip another sheet quickly and lay it. Let's lay it right here. So right on top, like this. Okay. Go all around, gently press. Okay. Continue. And I'm going to add that. I'm trying to use as much space as I can. Right in here. Okay. I'll use one more full sheet and then we'll use the little pieces, the ones that are not touching. So I'm going to use one more piece right in here. Like this. Cover this area up as best as I can. All right. There you go. And now I can rip off some of this and place it at little areas where I missed. Like this. Okay, and then this area. Or like this. I think this area. Right here we added some, remember? Some right in here. Okay, moving on. Almost done. This is the fun part. I don't know how far it goes down, but I'm gonna guess. We went all the way down. Here. Maybe even lower. I don't remember. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna clean it out now and then see if I need to add more. I will, okay? But for now, like I have, now make sure your ground, where you're doing this, it's clean, like on the bottom, because it's gonna get a little bit messy, okay? So now that we have our gold leaf, it's in place. Now we can go back and make sure it's all sealed like this. You know, follow along, make sure it's all nicely attached. Right? Some of it will peel off, that's okay. The loose ones will peel off. But you want to, get the main areas attached. So I'm quickly going over everything before I start peeling, and then we will peel. Okay, so let's do that. Let's peel now. So my foam brush right here, we're going to start from the top and gently just peel it like this. Peel it all off gently. Back and forth. Don't press too hard, it'll peel off nicely by itself. The loose areas. See how nice that looks now? Gently press. Some of it you might have to retouch, but that's okay. Like for example right here. Okay, and lightly. And you might have to put some more adhesive on some areas, but you get the idea. So once you're done, you can go back and touch up some areas and use your glue again and your detail brush. In the areas where it didn't really attach, you just use your detail brush and go over and add a little bit of, the areas where you think it needs a little more glue. but make sure you don't forget the spots, you know, where you added it, and then go back and fill in those areas. Like for example, this area, I want to add a little bit more. Like this. Okay, and then maybe a little bit in here. And go over everything and fill in the areas and do the same thing. Okay, we are almost done. Pretty much the last thing we're gonna do is go over and correct some of this stuff, like with the lighter color and the darker. For example, this part is a little too fat, so I'm gonna go over with this darkest color here and some water, and I'm gonna dim it down a bit. So I'm gonna have it, you know, maybe this lighter, actually mix it in. I don't want it to be too dark. And let's just correct this. Let's make it thinner here. You know, using our colors we have mixed and clearing some of the gold, making it fade out, you know, fade in, I mean, into. Do the same thing here, let it fade in. You know, and that's it. You just correct those little details with your detail brush, and you'll be done with this piece. So I'm going to do that real quick. You don't have to do this if you don't want, but I like things to be cleaner. So that's why I'm doing it. For example, see right here, I'm going to correct it with the lighter color. But first, let me correct some of this. Okay, like that. Have it gradually fade in. And right here, do the same thing. Make it thinner, make it faded in. All right. And now I'm going to clean my detail brush and do the same thing with this lightest color and correct, like for example, this area right here. I want to correct this a little bit. And make it more cleaner look. And I think that's it. All right, that'll be all. I think I'll be done with this piece. You know, you can really get the details and add as much as you want, have fun with this, and you know, totally up to you. But that's how I play around with my gold leaf. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for being here and tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe and share, and see you guys next time. Take care and God bless.